with that, I'll quit talking and turn it over to Dr. Adam.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the title of my presentation is Making a Memory. Thank you, Netflix, for giving me a great idea for my title. Again, my name's Adam Lesiak, and let's get started. So, can anybody remember any of the animals on that last slide? Yeah, just call it out. Okay. I'm hearing quite a few. How about hats? Can anybody remember the hats that were on there? Alright, I heard one. Alright, so how about the food items? Can you remember any of the food items? Does anybody think they can remember everything on that slide? No? Okay, well let's go back and check it out again. So you can see on this slide there's a lot going on. And here's the thing though, if I told you like memorize everything on this slide right off the bat, you probably would have been able to remember it because what you were doing is keeping it in what we call your short-term memory or your working memory. So I'm going to go into a little bit on how memory works. So again, like if you have something in your short-term memory or your working memory, you're thinking about it, you're talking about it, you're eating popcorn right now, you're like, oh, this popcorn tastes pretty good. Or you're saying in your mind like, oh, this person was talking to me and teaching me about memory. But a week from now, if you're going to actually remember what I'm talking about, which I kind of hope you do, you're going to have to store that short-term memory into a long-term memory. And then eventually, you know, if somebody were to ask you like, hey, how was that show? You can retrieve that memory and talk about it and bring it back into your working memory and then put it back into your long-term memory and back and forth, okay? So let's investigate long-term memory. And what does that look like? So any of our memories, especially long-term stored memories, are going to be stored in the connections between thousands and thousands of neurons. I didn't have enough time to actually draw all those neurons on this slide, so I kind of simplified it a little bit just for talking about the way that these memories are stored. So I'm going to talk about how these kind of cells work together. So first of all, we've got the axons. Those actually carry information away from the cell to other cells, while on the other side we have the dendrites, which are kind of receiving that signal. And as an example, I'm going to use a very, very dear memory for me. And that's my memory of Chewbacca. Right, so let's talk about my memory of Chewbacca, right? So first of all, in this memory, there has to be the information stored for how Chewbacca looks. So he's kind of a really tall, hairy, Wookiee-looking kind of animal. Additionally, we have how Chewbacca sounds. Can anybody do a really good Chewbacca sound? Ooh, that's a win right there. Very good. All right, and then also in my memory, it's how Chewbacca makes me feel. Chewbacca makes me very, very happy, because it probably means I'm watching Star Wars. So the way this memory changes over time, though, is the axons kind of act like an earbud, playing the music of the memory, while on the other side, on the dendrites, they kind of act like ears, and they're listening for that sound. And then if I watch Star Wars again and again and again, my memory gets stronger and stronger, and then after 100 times of watching Star Wars, this connection is very, very strong. And if we were to actually look at the way that the neurons change their shape and their connectivity, is that there's actually a physical change in the connection between there, making this memory very, very strong in my mind. So, who's seen the new Star Wars movie? Okay, excellent. So, for those of you who haven't seen it, don't worry, this is spoiler-free. But before I saw it, I was very, very concerned that they might change my favorite character by maybe adding a pink mohawk, having him speak basic English. And you know what? That would make me feel really sad. I would not be too excited about that. So, what actually would happen when I saw that new Chewbacca is my memory would be forever changed. So new connections and new information would be tied together in my memory of Chewbacca. And it would conflict slightly with my old memory of Chewbacca. And then everybody in the media was like, oh, new Chewbacca, new Chewbacca. Before you know it, the different connections between these brain cells change, and the new Chewbacca memory gets a little bit stronger, and before you know it, I'm definitely not so excited about that. So, how can I fix my memory though, all right? So, tonight we're going to see a movie that uses science fiction. And what we can do then is take this memory of Chewbacca and just blast these neurons out of there, and then, oh, there we go. We've got my old memory restored.
Okay, picking up where the live feed leaves off, I'm going to talk about why this science fiction therapy is a little bit unrealistic. So, in order to destroy the neurons that encode the new Baka memory, I would have to have some magical microscope that could go in and find all the brain cells that are encoded for the new Baka memory, and then you'd have to have some magic kind of laser destruction tool to destroy those neurons. And that's just definitely not possible at this time. Fortunately, though, we do have some new potential therapies. And in order to describe this therapy, I'm going to bring back the ear analogy, because we have a drug that kind of acts like earplugs, and that can fill up the ears and block the dendrites and inhibit the signal from coming in from all my memory of Chewbacca. These brain cells then kind of wither away, and before you know it, then I lose all memory of Chewbacca entirely. And then, if I sit down and repeatedly watch Star Wars over and over and over again, I might be able to restore my memory of Chewbacca, completely forgetting the memory of new Baka. Fortunately, we do have some options presently, and that would be cognitive behavioral therapy. So what I could do is sit down with a therapist and find a way to not think about new Baka as much, and maybe go back and watch hours and hours of the original Star Wars, and slowly, over time, my memory of the original Chewbacca would grow stronger and stronger, and my memory of new Baka might slowly fade away. As I hope it does for you, and thank you very much for listening to my presentation.